Hi, my name is Chenyenyozi and welcome to the Discuss KE. So this is a session that I am calling Pennywise because we're talking about money. I am so proud of that title. We're talking about money, and with me I have a friend who I am very excited to introduce. Her name is Wacera. Hi Wacera.
Hi Joy. I also like the title. Yeah, Pennywise. Sounds very wise.
Thank you.
So thank you for having me. I've been saying no to Discuss KE.
To Mamadi.
To Mamadi specifically for such a long time, but finally I'm here. It's about a topic that I'm that's so dear to me. I love talking about personal finance. I love learning about it because I believe that financial literacy and independence is very important to everyone, especially young people and women, because we've been left out in the system for such a long time. Yeah, so my name, as you said, I'm Wacera. What do I do? Not sure, but I'm a CPA, so I'm a certified public accountant. I have close to 5 years experience working in accounts and finance, though I'm not a financial advisor or investment analyst or anything, but yeah, so I have a bit of experience in that field, and also now the passion that leads me to learn more and talk about money. Yeah.
Talk to me about your financial journey.
You know, when you sent me the questions for the interview, so I was just reflecting on how my earliest memories of money as a child, and I remember where I was very much involved when it comes to money decisions was, I think, as a teenager. So I've always been those kids who are very picky and I like particular things, and my mom didn't like that. So we'll go for shopping. Back in the day, we used to shop at Gikomba and Isili. Like back in the day, Isili used to be like our Dubai shopping malls. And we'll go there with my mom to shop, and by the time we're coming back to Wacera Kieha, because whatever she wants to buy for me is that's what I don't want to wear. So we'll go to a place my mom was like, now ndakuonesha Gikomba na Isili, then I'll be giving you money, you go and buy whatever you want. So I started learning to shop from an early age, to bargain. I'm also very good with bargaining, like my bargaining skills. Like
I will save that footnote.
So I learned that from an early age, my early teens. Going to high school also, I remember I used to go to the bank to pay my own school fees. My mom didn't have time to go queue to pay my school fees. I used to do that. So I learned how banks work since I was in high school. I remember I also had a phone and had M-Pesa. I had registered with my mom's ID. And when I went to high school and I came back, the balance that I had from my pocket money, I will save in my M-Pesa.
Who told you to do that? Who gave you that tip that you can actually save on your M-Pesa? In high school? In high school.
I think I've always been, I think it was in me, or it was the way I'll get involved when it comes to money matters at home. Because I didn't have a bank. I didn't have those piggy banks that other people had. I didn't have that. My parents didn't have like a bank account for me, but I've always been a curious person, and I've always wanted to try things myself. And lucky for me, I had parents who would let me try some of those things. I'm like, I want to have it. I had a phone. I want to start saving on my M-Pesa. Can I register with your ID?
Okay.
Yes. So it was that, like, my curiosity was encouraged. I will say that. I remember also I was also let to make certain decisions. Like, for example, let's say I wanted a school bag and a new pair of shoes, and then my parents couldn't afford both of them at the same time. They would tell me, hey, I only have money to buy one of these. Which one do you want now? And then the next one you get maybe when you come back from school. So it's like such decisions that I was involved, like they were not coming to me like apana tunanunua kiatu and that's it. You know, they will tell me, which one do you want? And now as an adult is when I appreciate some of those decisions that I was made to make that involved money, because you know, they just broaden your thinking. Back then I probably didn't understand. I would probably get angry. Why am I having to choose?
Or do I have to pick? Why can't I get both? Or don't even give me the option. I'm a child. Don't burden my mind.
So I went through that saving on M-Pesa in high school. I remember after high school, immediately I got my ID. The first thing I did, I got NHIF.
Okay. Who told you about NHIF?
I don't know. I think I learned from school. I learned about NHIF from school. Then I didn't have medical insurance from home. Okay. So it's like got my own NHIF, and for the savings that I had saved some good money through my high school. So I started paying my NHIF. I opened 2 bank accounts that was the ones my parents had. Again, my parents were very supportive of that, and I started saving. Then, of course, I went to campus, and then I had help. Let me tell you the story. So the first week, I know help stories. The first week, I got my disbursement. So I got 20K. That's the most money I had gotten, 20K. And then after a week, that was when Babu came back. And then he did his first demonstration for help. And then I got my second disbursement, which I think was by an accident, because I should not have gotten twice the disbursement.
But they'll come find you. between those guys.
And then the second week, there was another demonstration. So I got the disbursements within a week.
Hiya.
So that was 60 Gs. And I'm like 19 years old. And I'm like 19 years old. And I'm like, 60K. So I told my dad, hey, let me give you some of this money, because me can eat 60K and it's supposed to last me until next year. So such it. And I also think for me to make such a decision and also how to manage money, because mostly the most money people get is when you go into campus, like things like help, like 20 Gs. That's the most money you'll ever have to manage. Like that's your first time managing such a large amount of money. And I think that's where the problem comes. Unasikia mse, the first week amepata help, amekula kuku imeisha. But for me, because I think I had that background of making financial decisions and managing money, I was able to
you're able to work with a larger sum now that it fell on your lap. And also I think that you had these conversations when you were young also contributed to you being able to trust your father, saying shika hii, then you will sort me next year.
But
so then what happens to people who they got into, I mean, this is very pertinent information for my sisters who are in high school, you know, just be there telling them, listen, save. But then, so now, in uni, I think the largest, so I never got help, but I think the largest amount of money I had on my own, I made 5K. I worked, I did some article and I was paid 5K. Oh. I was so impressed.
I know. Like your own
I was just so
money,
impressed.
So sweet.
I can't remember what the hell I did with it, but I know I was just so impressed and so pleased. But I didn't save it. I know I used it. How, I'm not sure. So what happens to me in that instance? What would I have done? What should I have done? So I have this money. I am excited. It's 5K. It's an extra from my. It is not my usual pocket money. Right. This is an extra thing. I think I told them not to give me pocket money, which I should not. But it is an extra. So what do I do with that?
As you can when you're still young.
Not to get as much money as you can. But so what do you do with this little you have? So assuming now in the here and now, all I have between me and nothingness is 5K. How do I proceed? How do I ensure that I have money for now and I have kidogo for maybe next week or next month?
So I think you're being hard on yourself, because in campus, like 5K, you know, was like, there's still people, you find someone who's like working and they still like they get paid and then they spend all that money, and if you ask them jioni ulikuwa na 50K in the morning, ilienda wapi, haizi kwambia. So I think like when it comes to personal finance, is a learning journey. You learn along the way, you make mistakes. I remember for me in campus, I became extremely curious. I had joined like self-help, they're called self-help groups. They're like circles but under the Catholic Church. I remember taking my first loan, and my first loan I went to the coast. You took a loan to go. Okay. I know.
But you know what? Self-care is important.
I know. I don't regret it, because I came back after having fun and then paid it. So some of the things you learn along the way, and also for me, I think coming from my background also, I went to campus, I would get involved with other people and find out what they're doing. I remember joining SACCO. I was in Chamas with my friends. We tried agriculture twice. We failed terribly. Nikasema mimi na ukulima, I'm not. So when I was in campus. So it's something you start. Some people are lucky they start early. Others are not. But it's not a problem. Like, so long as you start, wherever you are, just start. So I usually say start with tracking your expenses and having a budget. You need to know, where does my money go to? That thing of ulikuwa na 50K asubuhi na ujui kwenye umeenda jioni, it should not be happening for, especially after, if you're like, you know, working, or like some mistakes. Let me not judge. So you know, start with tracking your expenses. Like, sit down. So there are apps that will help you, but for me, I prefer to like writing down or using like an Excel or Google has something called Google Annual Budget Sheet, which is very easy to access. It's free. Like, it's also easy for you to manage, and then you can access it anywhere on your phone, on desktop. So usually say is how to track your expenses. Sit down and write down all your expenses. Rent, food, partying, like everything you spend your money on, from the biggest to the smallest. So that you can know.
From fare to...
Yeah, from fare. Anything.
50 bob for
your airtime.
20 bob.
Yeah, your airtime, if you drink, if you smoke, like everything. Like, I know some of them will feel guilty because like, guy, I spend a lot of money on this, but write it down, because then that will help you when you have a picture of where your money goes. It will help you. Okay, this one I need to reduce on this. This one is unnecessary. This one, apana, we should not be doing this now, or I should find an affordable alternative to this. So it helps you with that. And then after you track your expenses, now you come to a budget. So a budget, how it looks like, is more like of your forecast of where your money will go to when you receive it. So at the top, you start with your income. Income is the money that comes. It could be salary, could be you have a business, you pay yourself. You know, you're a business lady, you pay yourself every month. It could be you sell an item, or you get an allowance, or anything, any money coming in, record it up or due. And then below it is expenses. First, you start with the mandatory ones: food, rent, like the ones that you can't live without. So when it comes to budgeting, there's a rule we call 50-30-20 rule, where it says 50% of your income should go to your mandatory expenses. 30% of your income should go to your savings, investment, and paying your debt. So that could be your help loan or the usual Fuliza or any other loans that you have. Then 20% goes to your wants, you know, for leisure. So you're partying, you're traveling, like even that you need to include it. So again, so your budget has to include all the expenses that you put in there. Then of course you have to practice for like a few months and try adjusting few things here and there. I usually prefer to have a stretched out annual budget, and then I narrow it down to 6 months, 3 months, and then now every month. So
what do you mean by annual budget?
So it's more like you have a budget you stretch from January to Feb, or depending on when your financial, like mine usually starts in September after my birthday in August. So my financial year starts. So after my birthday, I'm looking back at reflecting on how the year I had, and then I make plans for the new year. So one of the plans that I make is my financial plan for the coming year, which starts in September. So I look at it and see, like, I add all my income. So I'm a salaried person, so my income is consistent. So I stretch add that in up to the end of the year. My expenses also, so most of them are like regular, like monthly expenses. I add them in case I have, you know, those expenses that come after every 2 months or 3 months. It's also good to include them, so that now if I have an expense that's coming up in January, like for example, like you're paying school fees for someone or something, now in November, when I go to my budget every end of the month, I'm able to see, I have seen an expense is coming up in January that I need to start maybe saving for. So that usually helps when you stretch out annually. And then, but now you have to look at your budget every single month.
Okay. So I get the aspect. First of all, the planning, that planning is very comprehensive, right? So first off, you sat down and said, this is my basic expenditure. This is how my income, this is where my money goes to. And then now you go into a budget. And then now talk to me about SACCOs, because you had mentioned a SACCO. You mentioned opening a bank account. So talk to me about places where my money, no matter how much or how little, can be safe. My 100 shillings, my 2,000 shillings. Where can I plow in this money so it can work for me, even as it is just a saving, so that it si kama ile ya piggy bank yenye inakiti tu mpaka siku moja unatoa, unavunja bank, unachukua. So how do we make this money work for us?
So on the budget, remember we said 30% goes to your savings, investment, and paying debt. So you need to make a plan on how you want to be paying your debt. So if you have help, you need to make a plan. Every month I want to pay this amount of money. Or for example, if you're a freelancer, for example, and you maybe earn money every now and then, like you don't have like a monthly, like you're not like salaried people who expect to be paid every month. So regardless of however it looks like, so you make your budget as per your own personal situation, because every situation is different from every other person. So when it comes to savings, first you're always told, oh, invest, but for you to invest, you must have the money.
You need some money.
So the first step is laying the foundation when it comes to saving. So after you track your expenses and budget and everything, so how do you save? So I usually say it's good to have at at least 2 bank accounts.
Okay.
So the first one is what we call a checking account. Checking account is where money comes in and then comes out. It's more like a transactional account for paying
Can that be my M-Pesa?
That is if you are paid through your M-Pesa, that's okay.
Okay.
But M-Pesa, I'm against M-Pesa because the transaction charges are very high. I usually prefer, for a checking account, have an account that has minimal bank charges, because you'll be paying most of your bills from there. Like you don't want to be paying, you don't want a huge percentage of your money going to transaction fees or charges, again, because that's you losing money. So if there's a way you can find a bank account that has minimal maintenance charges or bank charges, that will be ideal. Bank that's an account that's accessible, like you can transfer money from your M-Pesa to the bank interchangeably, you can easy access to an ATM and all that, because then you need to be, in case you're in the middle of nowhere and you need to pay fare.
Yeah.
Like, is it somewhere you can, is it an account that you can easily get money to buy something? So it needs to be easy access. So first account is a checking account. Number 2, have a savings account.
Okay.
So again, we need to separate them, because you don't want them to mixing money until you start using your savings to pay for, I don't know, for your bills. So for savings, I usually say have several savings accounts. The number 1 savings account, have the usual bank savings account.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't have to be as easy access as the checking account, because remember, you're not using a savings account to pay your bills. Bills is checking account. Savings is for savings. Usually I say have at least 3 months expenses in your savings account.
Okay.
So if your monthly expense, after you've tracked your expenses, you saw I spend 30K every month for my expenses. So in your savings account, you should have saved 3 times of that amount. So you should have at least 90K in your savings account.
Okay.
I know it's a huge number, but you can break it down
just
depending on how your brain works.
Okay.
For some people, they like the big numbers because then it motivates them.
Right.
For some people, no worry. If you prefer small numbers, it's okay, break it down. Save 10K, ikifika 10K, unaenda the next one. As long as by the end of the day, we both have 90K in the account,
we are all
that
saving.
works. So the benefit of that is, in case you don't have a source of income, in case you lose your job, like COVID made people lose so many jobs, you have income for 3 months, you have money to last you for 3 months until you start, if you get a new job or until you get money.
And on that note, speak to me about emergency funds.
Yeah, so that's the next point.
Right.
So the next bank savings account is an emergency fund. So emergency fund, usually you've probably had things called something called money market funds. They've been popularized recently in Kenya, like they have abroad as emergency funds. So these are usually a fund. So is a fund manager. So they bring together a few investors who have pesa kidogo and who have low risk tolerance.
Okay.
So you bring in your 2K, few people, and then that money, then the fund manager collects that money and then invest that money into a low risk fund like government securities. And then the interest they get, they distribute the interest to the investors. So money market fund is a savings account, yes, but then you get to earn interest from it. So how they work is, so you can search, I can maybe mention a few ones that you can try. There is Britam, there is CIC, there is ICM, there is Sanlam, there are also others. I think there's another one called Zileme. So just check, ask your friends which money market fund they have. Also check those ones online and see which one works for you. So usually what they do, you can start with as little as 1K, some as 5K. So usually the capital for starting is as low as 1K, and then you earn interest. The interest usually depends on which money market fund you are on. It depends from 6 to 10. It has reduced kidogo since COVID, 6 to 10 per year. Then most of them have apps or like an online system where you can deposit your money, you can withdraw, and then you earn interest from it. So it's a savings. It has a saving. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So it's savings, yes, because you're saving. At the same time, you're earning interest. So it's more like an investment platform for you. Right. And you can start with as low as 1K. So your question about what can I do with 5K? That's one of the ways you can do with 5K.
Very much answered, right?
Yeah. So the second rule, I usually say have at least 3 months expenses in your emergency fund. Okay. So now in total you have 3 months in savings account, 3 months in emergency fund. So in total you have 6 months. 6 months. Which is the general rule of having saved up to 6 months of your monthly expenses. Right. So regardless of whatever happens, if you have expenses, you have money in your bank for that will cater for 6 months, like you're like at a very good,
quite sorted.
Yeah, you're very sorted.
And just to reiterate what you had said, you have to start from somewhere. Wherever it is, the most important bit is to start, right?
Yeah.
So assuming I have loans and
Yeah.
I have debt,
Yeah.
first off, talk to me about how to get out of my debt,
yeah.
so that I can get into a place where now I can say, okay, so let me think about money market funds, and let me think about saving money, and let me now separate my money. Actually, no, the first step is separating money, but how do I start think about saving and things like that? So out of debt into betterness.
So let me just mention a few other places you can keep your money. The other one is a SACCO. They are very popular. So SACCO also offers your savings, and then also an investment part of it. But SACCO, the difference between a SACCO, an emergency fund, and savings account, that SACCO, when you withdraw your money, you can't withdraw your money as you would withdraw from a savings account. When you withdraw from a SACCO, usually you get your money back as a loan. So what SACCOs offer, they offer a credit option. Like what you do is you get to borrow against your savings. Especially for business people, SACCOs have become very popular when it comes to loans, because the loans have lower interest rates, and it's easy for you to get a loan from a SACCO than it is to get, let's say, from a bank. And then you can get small. And some of the SACCOs in Kenya, I know, I'm a member of Safaricom SACCO, they have mobile loans, and some of the monthly interest rates for mobile loans are lower than the usual mobile loans, like M-Shwaris and the likes. I don't know if I should be mentioning the names, but but yeah. So SACCOs. So how to join a SACCO? Usually, actually, so SACCOs in Kenya, they are managed or regulated by an authority called SASTRA. You also have even money market fund. Before you get into any investment, check if they are licensed to operate in Kenya, because you don't get into problems or you get into like scam funds, and then when you're going to sue, the government tells you, oh, that's not registered, so we don't know them. But then the government let them operate in Kenya and they're not licensed. So you need to make sure. So SACCOs are regulated by SASTRA. So what you do what you do with SACCOs is, so SACCOs, there are two ways. Number one, you have to be a shareholder of the SACCO. So they tell you have to buy shares of a certain amount of money, either 10K or 40K, depending on the SACCO. So what they do, but then the shares, they tell you this 10K, you don't have to pay all at once. You can pay it within a period of, let's say, 1 year. And then, so shares, so every year you earn dividends from the shares. So there's dividends from the shares, and then there's now the deposits, or what they call savings. So some SACCOs will tell you have to deposit like 3K or 1K a month. Like that's their rules. That's their rules. Then from your deposits, what you get interest. So SACCOs, there are two ways of earning from being a member of a SACCO. There is dividends, and then there is interest. So you save over time. And then now when it comes to loans, you get you get loans maybe up to 4 times of your savings. Like if you have saved 50K in a SACCO, you'll get a loan 4 times or even 5 times of that amount. That's the advantages of a SACCO. You just have to get a guarantor. So join SACCOs that you know your friends are in, so that they can guarantee you for a loan. Then there are so many SACCOs: Stima SACCO, Mwalimu SACCO, Muhasibu SACCO. There are so many of them, and they're also easy to join, as low as 5K, 10K, and the likes. Then with 5K, you can even buy stocks. Check out NSC website and see how you can do that. Then after you've saved, after some time, unaona, kwa bank niko na like 100K, 50K. I need to go a little bit higher. What else can I do? You can try government securities, that is treasury bills and bonds. Again, check out CBK website. And some of these things, you can do them on your own. You don't have to get like a broker, like with stocks, with NSC. Some of them with government bonds, you can buy directly from the government. So it's just about learning. It's about
choosing to invest in your
learning,
finance
see what's
journey.
What's there, try a few things, ask around. You'll also make mistakes along the way, so no problem, but learn. But at least do your due diligence. Like, don't make silly mistakes. Don't make silly mistakes. Don't make mistakes that you could have avoided. So that's, you can do. There's so many things you can do with 5K. Just find out. You can also start a business, side hustles. Maybe we could mention some of the side hustles that people could try. We have online jobs.
People sell clothes all the time.
Thrift shops. You can decide to sell food. You can say, if you maybe what we call Ocha, and you have, you can keep chickens. You can keep, I don't know, goats, pigs, rabbits. Like,
diversify your streams of income.
There's a lot you can do.
Okay, so now Wacera, people took 83 billion in Fuliza and betting. So I don't know currently individually or collective. But then they took all this money and gave it to Safaricom. How do we get out of this bad habit? How do we get out of debt? Where do I start from?
Okay. So
if I'm part of Fuliza crew.
Yeah. I think there's a bigger picture to this. I think the question should be asking ourselves, why are people defaulting loans? Every now and then, nosikato CRB and all that.
Right.
Why are people taking that much loan? So 3 reasons. One, the cost of living has gone up very high.
Ridiculously so.
And the income has not, even for employed people, the income is not matching the cost of living.
Right.
So the 50K that you will spend comfortably a few years ago, now it's way less. Like with 1K, you go to the supermarket, you will just buy very few things.
Yeah.
So the cost of living has gone up very high. Number 2, the rate of unemployment. Every year we have graduates coming out of school, but then the market is not accommodating them. Yeah, then people also lost job during the COVID time, so people are depending a lot on loans to pay for basic needs, and you shouldn't.
Right.
You know, there's a holding of good and bad debt, so you should be taking loans to pay for your basic necessities. But the situation is people are doing that. You know, you're taking a loan to buy food, to pay for your fare to go to work or to go for an interview.
Fees.
Yeah. So how do you then try and get out of that debt?
Slowly,
so first of all, you need to make a plan. A plan for paying your debt. You either do it in 2 ways. One, you either start paying the small loans and then go up, or you start paying the loans with the highest interest going down. So whichever works for you. But remember, in your budget, you have to include and make a very strict plan and decision that every month I have to pay, especially for the big loans. Like maybe you have a loan from your circle, for example, you have to make a plan. Every month I have to pay this amount of this. I have to pay this loan. So how then do you make sure that you're not so dependent on a loan that every time you have to borrow to even pay for food or even pay for rent? And there's several ways to do that. One is making better financial decisions, and it starts from you learning about personal finance, and it's something that continues. It's something continuous.
Okay.
You have to learn. You have to be informed. So making better financial decisions, tracking your expenses and budgeting, and separating your money, and having like an objective and even a goal. You know, deciding what do I want to be in the next year, in the next 5 years. I know it doesn't. People usually say I want to live today for today, but then you'll be there tomorrow. What are you going to eat tomorrow? You are a parent. What's going to happen with the kids' school fees? Right. You are married. What's going to happen with your family and eating? So as much as you want to live today by today, you still need to think about tomorrow. So making better financial decisions and learning. We'll also mention few either people to follow online or websites so that you expound your personal finance knowledge. Right. The other thing is living beyond your means or within your means. But not so many people. I don't think there's so many people who live above their means. I think the problem, as you mentioned, the 3 problems.
The 3 issues.
But let's talk about some of the ways you can cut your cost. It's things like if you look at when you're tracking your expenses, you see, I pay, I eat out a lot. You may decide, let me start cooking at home, carrying lunch to work. You may if you drive and your car is high maintenance, you may decide to panda matatu ama reduce kidogo. If you stay up late for work in the evening that you have to use an Uber, you may decide wacha nianze kwenda home mapema so that I can use them out, ama I get to the bus stop when fare is kidogo. I think they're usually off peak or whatever. Yeah. So just try to see what makes sense for you. It also has to be you have to become a smart shopper. A smart shopper means you shop wisely. Yeah, you don't just go randomly buying things because umesikia it's Black Friday and there's a phone on offer, so you buy a phone. You know, so you have to be a smart shopper. Buy in bulk. If you live near a market, buy your groceries, weekly groceries. Become a smart shopper to reduce your expenses. Then the other thing is earning more. Remember we mentioned about side hustles. So start a business or a side hustle, invest your money, save, get an extra job. If you have excessive clothes in the house, you may decide to sell them. Look for ways to earn more money, because then that's going to help you have more income, so you're taking less loans
here and there. Yeah. So I hate to end this here. Yeah. And I mean it. But I want to continue this conversation on a later date, building on the questions that will be asked by our audience. building on the questions that I will ask after revisiting this.
Yeah.
And then probably you can come back and we can build on this
For
and
sure.
talk more about
Yeah.
this, because money is very important, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many things to take away from this conversation, and I really like what Wacera has done towards the end. She has quite literally briefed us on everything that we talked about in like first half. So let's make better money decisions, and as we think about how to get better in our money journey, first thing to do is start. And so please follow us on our social media platforms, which is Discuss KE on all platforms. And I am super excited to host you again. So karibu sana. And I hope to see you soon and see you again.
Yes. I'll be glad. I love talking about money, so yes.
Thank you.
So yes, so on the journey, as I said, just maybe a few last words. Start,
Right.
as you've said. Also be very kind with yourself. Don't be so harsh. You'll make mistakes along the way, but learn from them and move forward. Talk about money. I know you don't come from a society that we love talking about money. Talk about money. Follow. Let me just maybe mention a few people. Maybe they can follow. There's a lady called Susan Wanjiko. Follow her on, I think, all social media platforms. She creates very good personal finance information. Two ladies. There's a lady called Joan Duo and Angie Obwaka. They are career coaches for people who maybe in the corporate world you want to know about interviews and writing CVs. They are very good with that. Salary negotiations. If you're employed, ask for a pay rise if you want to make more money. There's a website called Investopedia. It's a US company, but you can learn a few things from there. There is The Break by Patricia Bright. There's Centronomy, it's popular. I think they even have classes.
Right.
There's another one called Abojon Investments. You can follow them on Twitter. Also, if you want to learn about stock, follow NSC, Nairobi Security Exchange, follow CBK. If you want to learn more about investment, just start from there. Then you can even do some of the master classes that some of these people offer and talk about money. With
Talk
your friends
about it.
openly, I know, with your partner, also with your kids, also with your colleagues, and start from there. It's a very good place to start. You'll actually be surprised, but some of the things, your struggles, someone else is also going through them, or they have gone through them and they came out of them. So that, and of course, I'll be glad to come back again and talk about money.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We will keep talking about money. So thank you and see you soon. Bye.